There's nothing wrong if my garage smells like oak right now.
You have many leather-bound books.
Oh, it's just that the neighbors smell it and think something
Smells of rich mahogany.
different.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king, and home of the Fat Boy tasting notes, which we will definitely be using today because tonight, Monday night, it's a 3-drink minimum because we're doing an Old Fashioned Throwdown, the traditional, the Wisconsin, and then the smoked one we have. Our version comes from the Golden Beaver recipe.
The
Beeve. And it is pretty exciting. I can't wait to get into this because, who doesn't want to have 3 drinks on a Monday night? I'm excited. And yeah, this is one for Wisconsin and a lot of people that I think you'll see a little nudges of difference, maybe some concessions, maybe someone else has something interesting, but we will find out. So, all right. Oh, before we go further, Mike, do you want to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op?
I would love to. I'm responding to Mr. Tom Feld really quick here, as I should. What a nice guy.
He's a tremendous man.
A tremendous man. All right. We are proud members of the Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. From blind tastings to distiller panels to discussion of special collaborations and the usage of unique grains. Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment, including most recently, they did a unique tasting with the Wallersheim Yeast Trial Series with the 3 rye, with the only variable being the yeast. And they tried brandies from Wallersheim, Iron Root Republic, and Spirits of French Lick. And want to know who won? We all won by being a part of that because it was awesome. All right. Then we have Distiller's Talk, which is the oldest show in the group, hosted by Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent, getting into the weeds with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of every work week. And if you don't find that to be nerdy enough, check out One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, where our friend Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, whole mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe. And then we have the sexiest voice on YouTube, Mr. Kevin Rose, with his co-host Drew Crawley, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. Kevin and Drew have a conversation with musicians, writers, and distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. And it releases every Wednesday on all platforms, including YouTube. Please check it out. There's lots of 2-part episodes, and little rumor told me that there's an upcoming episode. Miss Nancy Fraley's back on again, so gotta love that anytime Nancy's involved. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get the first three original seasons, and season 4 is now beginning. And we have, last but not least, Whiskey in a Ring podcast, hosted by David Levine, where he has conversations with people in the industry and industry adjacent that David finds interesting. From the unknown to the known, David likes to get into the weeds with his guests.
That's true.
Shoo!
Take a deep breath.
That's a lot.
More.
That's a lot.
Really hard.
I'm going to mute myself while I torch. And you talk.
Who would have thought that had been him doing that? But that's fine. All right. So we decided we should go over a couple of them here. Mitch, which one do you want to start with? Should we just? I think the traditional, obviously, would be the easiest. Oh, he's smoking right now. Good for you, Mike.
I am gonna do that as well.
Oh, you're smoking as well. All right. Well, I'm going to start on the original Old Fashioned.
Sounds good to me.
You can
No, I do. I have my original Old Fashioned all made. They're all made up, but just I took them off of the ice ball, so then that way I could add ice balls relatively quickly between. So I do have my original made. So I'm curious because I believe we all did just the standard Old Fashioned recipe from liquor.com, so we knew we had the exact same recipe. But the variable is the whiskey. I'm curious what whiskeys you guys chose and why.
I went with Runestone Rye. It was a rye I liked a little while ago, and trying to find something maybe had a little bit more spice. And a lot of times, if someone's doing kind of a classic one, I would think you should be hitting more of a rye than a bourbon. I don't know. It seems flatter, so I was trying to give it a little more life. That's all.
All right.
Plus, it's one of the bottles I had downstairs, so I had to grab one. And if Paul, you call us 10-ply again, bud, you got problems.
I'm gonna have to come over there and talk to you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get off my chair. Ooh, Neil's saying he's using limousine rye. That's an excellent choice as well too.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Well, I was going with something that was not from Wisconsin. Just I don't know. Plus, what do you think you're using in yours? Like, I don't have enough basic stuff around to be like, oh, here I just have. All my stuff is craft. Sorry.
Are you calling a non Wisconsin brandy basic?
I'm not saying no. This isn't brandy. This is just for the first drink. Like I
know
have Knob Creek or something like that. That's just laying around my house anymore.
You're calling it basic, like a basic bitch.
I'm not calling it basic. It's just something accessible.
Okay.
Well, a couple of them are. It's not like I'm using white label.
Don't be so extra, Patrick.
Not this way. This is our first drink. So go down a little fast. Nope. I get a titch of. I don't want to say I've never liked the original, but to be honest, coming from Wisconsin, obviously, you can see how I would like a little more. I like a little more fruit.
Got some expectations.
To make it more of a cocktail for me. There's nothing wrong with this. I don't know. I'm not the hugest bitters fan or anything. So
you see, I love bitters. To me, playing with bitters is about as fancy into the cocktail world as I go because I am no Adina or Dave or anybody. I'll just be like, oh, hey, that's not Angostura. Let's give that a shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Best choice. Mitch, what whiskey did you choose?
I went with Knob Creek cask strength rye because whenever I make it at home, that's what I use. So
nice. That's a good call.
I like that. Like you said, it's going to get through whatever you're doing. It's a nice brand. Part of me was thinking, I was almost thinking like we should do these where it's like the low brand and the high brand someday, because it's like, what would you, when you go to a bar, what do you end up getting versus when you go someplace, what do you end up getting?
Yes, a well cocktail versus a specialty cocktail. I think that actually would be a really good idea because I think we could all find something pretty interesting to use to jazz it up. I picked it's a down home. It's a down home that was a pick from the Kansas City Bourbon and Whiskey Club. It is Barton's, but bottled at our friends at Whiskey Thief. But it is a cask strength to coming in at 61.023%.
Ooh, 61. I like that.
Oh yeah,
a little bit higher, but nice.
And even though it's got some heft to it, there's a pretty good amount, like with Barton's, of sweetness that does, I believe, helps this old fashioned.
I can see that. As Neil brings up the Demura syrup or sugar cube, I like those when you're making cocktails, to be honest. Makes a difference.
Yeah. I do want to try. This is one I've been saving this stuff. It's the last of my watershed cast strength bourbon, finished in Nocino barrels.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Which I think would make a fun cocktail. So,
did you hear that in the background?
What's that?
Sounds of Barry White. I did. I think I heard it. I heard Kevin's entrance, quiet in the background. It's good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Hey, baby.
Dina, Emily. Sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
I will say, Richard just said the JTS Brown bottled in bond. He said it'd make a great julep. That's like, if you go to a good bar in Louisville, that's their well.
That's a good well.
Yeah, comparatively,
$11 retail.
Mm-hmm.
So
we just got Total Wines here in the last couple months. There's always a big reason why you couldn't have them in Kansas City. Anyway, we got them. Went there a couple weeks ago with a friend of mine. JTS Brown, $9 and change.
Mm-hmm.
I know. That's
not the 100, so it's a little different, but
it's the bottle and bond JTS Brown
really?
For $9 and change.
Shit.
I know. I don't need any, but it was
disagree.
nice to know that it was there for that. Well, I mean, I have 2 bottles, so.
So there's a bar here called Neat. It's the Dusty Bar, and they were trying to find their kind of well and all that. And they were originally trying to play like the allocation game, so they were using Benchmark, but then they were talking about just buying a barrel and just pouring JTS Brown in it until it was full, and then just getting like a little tap and then using that as their well. I was like, that is such a good idea.
Well, if you pick the right barrel, but I remember I did that with as a barrel aging experiment where was it Oak and Eden have their staves on the inside. We took the stave out when we were done. We throw it in the JTS Brown thing, wrap that up for like 3 months, and then we came to it. We're like, you know what? That's not bad. You know, for what happened. All right. So this one for me, classically, it always leaves me with wanting a little bit more to it.
So I make mine very astringent. I don't like a lot of sugar. I don't like a lot of sweetness. So this is pretty close to it for me.
Yeah, I rim the glass on all 3 just because I wanted to have them all the same. I did put a fair amount of orange squeezins in it. Like I said, with the Barton, there was a certain amount of sweetness to it that is a little different than the old fashioned that I like if I went somewhere that I would normally have, because a lot of times you go someplace and it is just, their well whiskey that they use. So this has, I like the higher proof and I like the sweetness on it. It's a decent old, it's a decent old fashioned. I'll say I have nothing negative to say about it.
Well, like Sean was bringing up, I like the citrus ones that have a little more punch to them. Wheat whiskey and wheat bourbon, those are both good ones to use. I just don't, when I was thinking about it, I just wasn't seeing enough people use that as like a base when you're going to go into a place for like a traditional one. But
yeah,
there are some excellent ones I thought would fall into that category. So let's let that
I
dance.
did think about.
Okay, I'm almost done with this one.
I thought about orange bitters as a variable, but I'll have to try them with those because I do have orange bitters. But the other thing I thought is I still have a wee amount of the Crooked Water
orange liqueur,
El Dorado orange liqueur.
Yeah, I have some of that too. It works great.
Yeah, I think those would like to really make it pop.
Well, this Adina was mentioning the Mexican Coke instead of American Coke. That's actually a really neat idea.
Yes.
When you're playing with stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to save a little bit of each of these because I might actually drop a little bit of that orange liqueur in there because that stuff was, as they say, the shit.
All right, so I'm going to switch over to the Wisconsin one now.
All right,
Right. So are we muddling all this in the bottom, or are we just putting it in there?
I have done that. I've just
on the Wisconsin one, I muddled for accuracy. Let's just a little more accurate. Now I am using the same cherries that we used the Luzardos for the last one as well. The Smoky Beaver. Just kind of keeps it up. Plus, they're excellent cherries.
Oh yeah.
Because you're only supposed to use one. Guess what? There's 2 or 3 on every one of these.
Oh, and I haven't been. This is a little PSA. I have not been there, but my oldest child was at Trader Joe's, and she said, "Hey, they got some cherries there that are on sale. They're really cheap. There's something with cocktails that begin with an A." And I said, "Amarena?" She said, "Yeah, they're like $5." She said they're marked down like 80%. And she said people were going crazy going to buy those. So I don't know if you have a Trader Joe's, go check them out. I haven't been over because it's near a big shopping area, and I ain't going near those places this time of year. So,
Yep. Good luck. Same here.
Ooh. Let's see. Oh, Kevin was saying he likes a sweet old fashioned. I do too, but you're right. There is that edge where it can go horribly wrong on a sweet. And you're on like a razor's edge. Sour, I find a little bit safer.
what brandies did you guys use?
I use Wollersheim because I had,
Wollersheim Bottled and Bond?
No, Wollersheim Cocard 7-year.
Oh, well, you're fancy.
This is what was there. I ordered what I ordered. I got what I got.
So I was looking for my dancing goat and could not find it. So I went with just Copper and King's American.
I can see that.
I've got the Wollersheim Bottled and Bond.
Oh, Kevin was going when we did the old fashioned at J. Henry Day and the Chipotle cacao bitters. That was actually good. Yeah.
That would be good. So my first Wisconsin old fashioned in Wisconsin was the one at the dive bar that it tasted like Hawaiian Punch. And that's not a negative thing. It's like, because I said, I want a cheap Wisconsin old fashioned. And this place, the lady, she asked me a couple of questions. She's like, "You want your cherries smashed or something like that?" And it's like, sure. It's like, I just want a cheap dive bar old fashioned. It wasn't bad, but it tasted like Hawaiian Punch. And Kevin tried, I think Kevin ordered one too, because Kevin tried it and he was like, no. But and then we had a proper one later that night, and then I've had a couple of them since then, and they're good. I like it. It's a nice take on the old fashioned. It's definitely got it's definitely a lot sweeter. But the Wollersheim is not a sweet brandy. At least the Wollersheim Bottled and Bond. It is not a sweet brandy.
This is weird.
Oh, Mitch. Sorry. What? Too sweet for you, or too sugary?
The wood is doing something weird from the American brandy. So
okay, that I could see. I mean, different brandies would change it. So technically, like I said, it's Corbel here for the vast majority of it, and no one really has. Yeah.
So I went looking for Luxardo cherries today. I went to a liquor store, Kroger, and Walmart, and none of them had them. So I'm using Copper and King's brandy cherries. That might have something to do with it. But I take a sip, and it's like, this is fruity. Didn't know fruit was supposed to taste like wood or Sprite. And that's like what I get.
Well, I'm going to be honest with in the little description. Most of the time, the little bit of soda, the sweet or the sour, is like a splash.
Yeah, I did not put a lot in there.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say sometimes they'll call for more or no. You really just kind of splash in the top, and then mixing that in. In my preference. Sorry. Kevin had one when we were at Driftless Glen, and that one was fucking badass. Sorry, it was. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I definitely get. I mean, not being from Wisconsin and just only recently getting into trying Wisconsin old fashions, I totally get it. Especially if you go to a place, because it's not like you're drinking an alcoholic drink. You're drinking a sweet drink that has alcohol in it, that if you get the cheap ones has Corbel or something else in it. Nothing against Big Corbel, but it's designed for a purpose, and that purpose is to sell a lot in Wisconsin. But I definitely get it. I get the sweetness, and I think if you're going to make a bunch of these, like batch them, I could see these going over really, really well with a wide crowd just about anywhere. That's my commentary on Wisconsin old fashioned.
Well,
yeah. I mean, for enjoyment, I'm pretty sure if I tweaked it just a tad, like different brandy maybe, or just something in a slightly different proportion, it would be much more enjoyable. This is just a summer drink. Right?
Yeah.
Like it is designed to be crushable on a porch, in my opinion.
You know what would be fun to do?
That's pretty accurate at a supper club, is being a crushable drink.
When you're not waiting 2.5 hours.
Or standing in the fucking closet.
What would be fun to do is to find a Wisconsin old fashioned recipe that you just really like. You like the proportions or what they've done, tweaked or whatever. I mean, we did the Wisconsin tourism one, and I'm sure it's been vetted, unlike ourselves. But it would be fun if you were going to play around with old fashions and do a Wisconsin one, but then put some cognac or Armagnac in place of the brandy.
I almost did that tonight because I couldn't find my dancing goat, and I was like, why not just go the complete opposite direction and just be like, this is going to be the bougiest fucking cocktail you've ever seen.
Well, when you're mentioning the dancing goat version, that would be more of like for a nectarine, peachy flavor. So I see that it's just a different twist on it. For here, you get a different flavor profile than going with what I'm going with, a graper, like kind of a grapey, dark cherry note.
The dancing goat brandy, that I like Fred said, they went after, what's the target market? What are people after? They want a $20 bottle of brandy, and they want it to be sweet and from memory, I haven't had Corbel in a long time. I'm not going to go out and go buy Corbel, but I would think that if people went the dancing goat brandy route for cheap, they would have a better Wisconsin old fashioned overall. That's just me.
It is, and sometimes it's like you said, those little extra, maybe 2 or 3 notes you add to it, or the special bitters that like really take it off in a certain direction. Because I know Bitter Cube is in Milwaukee, and they have a plethora of things that you can, as far as bitter options to play with.
Yeah,
which are neat.
All right.
Yeah, let's move on because I'm kind of hammering these drinks, and I made them strong. So.
Well, we're gonna have to, doctor them all up.
I'm gonna have to go get some water soon.
Okay, so the Golden Beaver one, and I know, I followed the video, I followed the instructions. I'll guarantee you, I did not make this as well as Chris made it when I was there. I'm willing to wager on that one.
Ooh,
but
for me, it's bright, it's a little crisp. Coming off the Wisconsin one, it's not as sweet. Maybe I should have done this one second. to me, like it's got a lot of all the texture and other flavors. Like the little bit of cherry note is right up in front on my tongue as it comes in, and it's like mid-level flavor intensity. But once you open all that air in there, like the flavor of the whiskey opens up. You get a little bit more barrel note that comes through, like a little heat for me, and a pepper. And the smoke's in there too. I didn't go too heavy on that because I was, like I said, my smoker was meant to be a little higher, so I got a decent amount, but not too much.
So my smoker is this little disc that you put like wood in and catch it on fire, and you just leave it there. So I've technically been smoking this for 20 minutes. And you can smell it. And it's darn well in there, but ooh, I like that.
Yeah, the smoke on the one that Chris did was, I will say, more elegant.
This is a honey one.
Yeah, with the honey run, but yeah, just it was better done, and I think he said that he uses chips from their barrels too. So,
So bourbon turntable. We are using the Golden Beaver Honey Run bourbon with California wildflower honey.
Mm-hmm. You can see that in the bottom. You gotta shake that up before you pour it in. Just
you
mix
do.
it up.
I like this. It has the sweetness and it has the smoke to it, which I do really like that smoke. And the honey carries over with the smoke. It's like you get it on the nose and it's like, oh, what's that? And it is like if you just open up a jar of honey and just kind of catch a whiff of it, not like up to your face, but just a little bit. And then there's just a little bit of the cherry.
Yeah, I thought the cherry was going to come through a little bit more after pouring, a teaspoon in. I thought it was going to kick through a little bit more.
I think it's just it's
a hint. It's just hintable in the background. Like,
I will say, spoiler alert. I'll go ahead and say this one's my favorite out of the three.
That's fair.
It feels to me. This feels a lot more like a cocktail. Like because you put a little extra work into it by holding a flame up to some wood chips. However, I think you could. With practice, you could probably get like the perfect balance of smoke for different things, or even try different. Maybe you don't do oak. Maybe you try something else. But
I was gonna say, like I used oak to stick with it, but I had a cherry wood that I thought might be a little more exciting with this.
Yeah. The other thing I would like to try with this, nothing against the recipe or anything, but I would like to try my Leopold tart cherry liqueur in place of the cherry syrup.
Yeah,
you just keep pulling that out. Like, oh, hey, look at this cool thing that I've got.
I'm just telling you, it totally changed the way I did Manhattans when I started using that. Did you ever try the Manhattans that I gave you?
They are still in the fridge. We were planning on trying them, and then we were like, we're kind of drunk, so we're not going to do it. And then we came home and we're like, okay, we're going to do it this day. And then something always happens.
It's a fair amount of alcohol in that. But that tart, the maraschino liqueur is great, but I think the tart cherry would be probably maybe a little closer to the.
Yeah, like Neil said, like Mike was saying, it's got a little bit. It has an edge of elegance to it, as far as for where the cherry and the smoke meet on the nose for me coming in. It's light, and they're kind of well mended behind the honey run, so it's got a really neat combo of light flavors, and it's almost subdued, like they're not powerful. It's more like I don't want to say a flowery note, but like a light or more effervescent smell to it. It's not heavy.
I want step back with one thing with my choices, and this is not purposely excluding and whatever, but leaving the Barton's pick out of what I used. The Wallersheim brandy that bottled and bond brandy is a good brandy for someone who says they don't like brandy or they've never had brandy, but they're a whiskey drinker. Because it's pretty close to that. And the Honey Run is for anyone who has tried American honey or some of those other ones that they're like, major diabetes. Yeah, the honey's present, but it's not overpowering on the spirit. It's I don't want to say it's subdued either, because it's there, but I like that the Honey Run. I wish I had a lot more Honey Run, because I think that would be a lot of fun to put in other things to see, because it's not just honey like American honey.
Well, and you could put honey in it like American. It's not sticky. We've used an actual, I don't know, that's where we were talking with like the mellows, or it gets regional, and that could actually be a really cool thing to do depending upon the flavor.
American honey's sticky. It's
just gross.
Yeah, it's just sticky.
That was like my first bourbon that I killed the bottle on.
It's a great gateway for people who say they don't like brown liquor. It's like, well, try this, but it's really sticky.
Quite a bit. All right, here. So, Mitch, what are your thoughts so far on the ones you've had so far? Or you don't want to talk about it?
So, it's really weird, right? Like, I'm not a big cocktail drinker, or any ability whatsoever. So this was out of my wheelhouse, is what we're gonna call it. So I've been going back to all three, and I even smoked my first two to see if that made a difference. And it makes the one the traditional so much worse. But it makes the Wisconsin much better, in my opinion, because it balances out the sweetness, whereas in the one that I like doesn't have a lot of sweetness. I can't tell which one I like more, the traditional or the Golden Beaver, but I like them for very different reasons. Like, I like the traditional one because I chose it very specifically. Like the Knob Creek rye isn't very sweet. It lets just a little bit of that citrus come through, and the bitters. And I love orange and bitters. So that is really where I was going there. The Golden Beaver one, it is sweeter. And I didn't think I was going to like it, because I don't normally go super sweet. I like a little more bitter, kind of cocktail. But the smoke really helped it. Mm-hmm. I think it really just takes whatever, just that top 10% that could have been too much, and it balances it out. And I like that. And it's a more complex cocktail, right? So it has that going for it. And the Wisconsin, if you gave that to me in August, I'd be like, this is one of the best effing things I've ever had. But it's December in my basement. So,
yeah,
it kind of is what it is. There's a time and a place for it, and it's unfortunately not right here, not right now.
That's fun.
But so that's what's interesting is with a traditional old fashioned. I have not finished my drinks. I just can't talk. With the traditional one, your big variable is what spirit you're adding to it. And that can make a massive difference on what you're getting off there. So I'm curious if you were going to make any cocktail period, do you have a go-to spirit that you would put in there, or did you think of the Knob Creek just specifically for this?
So I have not made an old fashioned in my house that was not Knob Creek cask strength in several years. I don't make a lot of old fashions, because I think the sum total of old fashions I've made is 6, maybe 7. So I always go with that. But when I'm out, I normally try to get rye in my cocktails. and they will normally use just Rittenhouse rye.
Which
right.
is fine.
Solid mixing rye, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to say anything bad about it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with that rye. And there's
Nope.
far worse ones you could pick for doing stuff with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Richard's out there too. Good to see you.
I'm going to, before these get too watered down, because I've left
Yeah.
a little bit, I'm going to drop a little bit of the El Dorado. El Dorado, potato.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I have that up here. Hold on. I'm going to check real quick. It's worth it.
Also,
For me
they're
to
the
check
cutest damn bottle.
So I will say, when I go out, we go to this one bar in Louisville called Off the Rails. It's kind of my buddy's neighborhood bar. And they only have Kentucky products. So they're their own winery, and they only have Kentucky beer and Kentucky whiskey. So if you're trying to get, also very true for Morgan. So if you're trying to get, some wild craft distillery, probably not. But they do have MB Roland, and they have dark fired. So I will go there and I will get a dark fired old fashioned, like heavy cherry, heavy bitters, and holy crap, is that good?
I would imagine that would be. Oh shit. Okay, and this is a plug for somebody else, but Pat, you're muted. Like 3 weeks ago, our friend Heather from Crooked Water was on Whiskey Crusaders. It was a really good interview with her, and it was just for the most part it was only Matt. Heather was fantastic when we talked to her. I mean, she's just fantastic. But I would say go check that out. Go watch that thing on there, because it talked more, and watch our old thing with her with Crooked Water stuff. But yeah, this orange liqueur, just nosing these. I mean, I just did like a couple of drops, and it just amped up the citrus like freaking crazy on these.
Mm-hmm. I've used that before. It's hidden downstairs. I don't have it up here right now. But yeah, it makes a nice little add-on to everything.
Okay, the normal old fashioned, it's sweet. It added sweetness and citrus to it.
I should probably try and find what is it? So Morgan would know. It's like Easy Tiger or something like that her brother makes. It's an orange liqueur.
Oh, following that.
I want to know why it's called Easy Tiger.
Yeah. Come on, buddy.
Great question, Morgan.
Morgan. Okay, adding that orange liqueur to the Wisconsin Old Fashioned.
I would see. Yeah.
That was nice.
Did you muddle the orange when you did the whole thing with it?
I didn't muddle the orange. I went by the Wisconsin tourism guide, because I wanted to go by. That's the one that they use. I'm sure there's 1,000 variations of the Wisconsin Old Fashioned in Wisconsin, but I went by the tourism one.
No, it's Orange Tiger, not Lazy Tiger. Sorry.
I guess it's okay. I like either tiger is good.
He can change the name.
It's interesting. So that orange liqueur, it helped the original Old Fashioned quite a bit. I mean, it really changed it. It really changed the Wisconsin Old Fashioned. It did not do any favors to the Golden Beaver. Well, it was like a linear move. It didn't do anything to it. It didn't ruin everything else. It was just kind of a linear move across there. Very interesting. Anyway, because we're all about experimenting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find squirt to make this freaking old fashioned today, but
it's starry, sadly for me, but that's what we have here.
I mean, I'm using Sprite because that's what I could find.
Yeah, that's what I got. Just Sprite.
Don't worry about finding that. Oh, I could only imagine all the variants in Kentucky with what there is original or their version would be. Well, and like you were saying, everyone's whiskey there can play a little bit different to some type of bitters that plays with it better, you know.
So I will say my favorite bitters I've ever found to throw in an old fashioned was it's by a company called Crude. And all of their bitters are named crude things. And my favorite one was the Sycophant.
I'm in.
Sycophant, sorry, which was orange and fig. And holy shit. Like, I love orange bitters. Orange and fig, though.
Fig bitters really sounds good.
That sounds delicious. Like that.
Oh my god!
So flavor would be fantastic.
I got a little sampler. They call it a sextuplet because that sounds kind of crude. We got the Rizzo, which is rosemary, grapefruit, peppercorn, Big Bear, coffee and cocoa, the Bitterless Marriage, which is hibiscus, lavender, and oak, the Lindsay, which I think someone dated someone, which is pecan, magnolia, habanero, and the Pooter, which is smoke and salt. And they are all good, but the thing is, right, like you gotta know what you're doing with them, and I don't. So I found my orange and fig in that, and I was just like, this is home, and now it's gone. I only have the other five.
Where can that be procured?
So I got mine at Westport Whiskey and Wine, but they are online. So
okay, what's the
crudebitters.com, established
Bitters.
in 2012 in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Of course Adina knows about them.
You know, I'm kind of proud of myself because I know something that Adina knew.
You're no Adina Ewald, sir.
I'm not no Adina Ewalds, but now I have at least touched her shadow.
That is not a euphemism.
He emerged from her shadow by standing up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Honestly, this was fun doing these. We did them. We, meaning me, I made all three of these yesterday, and we did a run through because Margaret.
Where is she?
Well,
come on now, like all this.
Well, here's the deal. So she's 21. She doesn't drink.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, but she always wants to try things and try flavors out. She's like, okay, let me know when you make them. So I made them. We ran through. She tried and I made them the same as what I made them tonight. She tried the traditional fashion, and she goes, she smelled it. She's like, okay. She took a sip. She goes, nope. She runs to the sink. She starts rinsing her mouth out. Everything else. I said, so that's a no. And she was, that's no. So she waited in a minute, and then she tried the Wisconsin one, and she's like, okay. I see that one. The smoke, she didn't like the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not that she didn't like the smoke, but the smoke, she was like, she was like comprehending it. Like, why is the smoke there? So then she said, she went back and said, okay, I would like these if they were sweeter or fruitier. I said, well, that's not an option because we're going by these recipes standalone. So then after I let other people try them and see what they thought, and then she said, okay, can I do what I want to do? And so she took some raspberries and muddled them and put the raspberries in the Wisconsin Old Fashioned. And I have to say, I did try it. It looked like absolute hell. I mean, it looked like, they should have been. And I told her, I said, well, traditionally you would probably strain those. It looked like a murder scene in the cup. I mean, it was bad, but it tasted pretty damn good. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty fruity, cocktail, whatever. And so my oldest, she tried it, and she goes, of course, she holds it up and she's like, what the hell? I go, well, just try it. Don't. I said, sip it and try not to get chunks. And so
I was totally in until you said that.
So she did, and she goes, it's really fruity. I go, yeah. I said, it's like all fruit, and you don't taste any alcohol at all. So when it came time tonight, Margaret's just like, oh, she goes, well, I'm just going to tell him raspberry. I said, no, you can't do that. We're doing recipes. We're not saying I will only drink this one with that. And she's like, well, she goes, that's fine. I have finals anyway. So, but
I was hoping to hear her response. That's all.
Well, like if we ever do like a real, like another cocktail one, especially with fruity stuff, she's 100% all in for that. And I will say this is an endorsement for going to Bourbon's Bistro. Number one, it's also an endorsement for having friends like Christy Atkinson and Kelly Tennille, because when I took Margaret with me, we were in Kentucky for less than 20 hours. and then, but we went there, we met those two for dinner at Bourbon's Bistro, and she was really interested to pick their brains because of Christy being, I don't think Christy has to watch what, things that she eats and things like that. And then Kelly has some allergic reactions to some alcohols and things like that, although she's a distiller. But they both do a lot of things with cocktails. And so and they're both, also, to me, a lot of people are short, but they're both smaller people like Margaret, who is 4'11". So Margaret was talking with them about, okay, I want to try these things, but I really can't drink a lot of alcohol, but I'm curious about flavors and everything else. And they went back and forth, giving her ideas, etc. And then the waitress came over from Bourbon's Bistro, and Christy's like, let me do this. And she goes, okay, here's the deal. She is 21. She doesn't really drink, but she likes these flavors. She likes this. You got anything? And so then she went over to Mike, the bartender, and Mike, and they made up a cocktail for Margaret.
Which Mike will do.
Yeah, which again, Margaret has the recipe for it, and it was a lot of fruit, and stuff. And she's like, "This is great, I love it," like because it was, and you taste it, and it was a vodka cocktail, but it was like, it was just like I'm drinking fruit juice, this whole thing. So that was like right up her alley. But yeah, another, not like Bourbon's Bistro needs another person to say how great they are, but that was
only won a couple awards.
Okay, but the food happens to be really good, and they've got a great selection on there. And I've only not gone there once when I've been to Kentucky, and but what a fantastic place, whatever. And it was fun, because again, when it's your youngest kid, and they have a curiosity and an interest in all this stuff.
Well, it's kind of cool from a neat angle, you know what I mean, and
yeah,
get. What you were just doing with your family there, that was like a really neat way to kind of share an experience with them. I thought it was neat.
It was fun because they're at totally different levels. Like my oldest, and this does have to do with cocktails. My oldest, she told me it was very recently. She talked about Manhattans because she said, I know you like Manhattans. And whenever I've gone out with my friends and people order cocktails, she goes, I order that because I know that's what you like. And she goes, and she said, she kind of liked them. And I think she had tried Old Fashions before, but she normally doesn't do cocktail-y stuff. Margaret can't, partially because of her size, but because she is on anti-seizure medicine, and you really don't drink when you're on that, or if you do, it's, tiny measured amounts. My son, he'll try, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's like me. He's like, yeah, it's something new. Great. I'll try it. So it's kind of I kind of have the range as far as, people to try stuff out. So anyway.
Well, it's just neat when it's a family affair. Gavin had to make the cocktails with me tonight. He would not let me do that. He had to be at the side. But he wants to go back and, we had the one holiday ones when like Richard was on about a year ago, and it had a cinnamon stick, and I forget what was in it, and he had the non-alcoholic version, and we have to make that every now and then. You remember when we made that one? And we'll get into that. We'll make that one again. It was like an apple cider one. It was really good. Oh, and speaking of Richard, didn't you work something else, Richard?
I did. Richard and his new endeavor are going to come on the show on January 15th, which will be a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah, Richard's a nice dude.
Because not only are the rums and their stuff doing neat from what we were talking about, just straight rums, but this is all sorts of ways to play with stuff in cocktails as well.
I am honestly, truly, really excited to learn more about the rums and where they're coming from. We get excited about something new and different in craft, and the American rums that I've gotten to try were because it is different. I haven't had an American rum where I've gotten the funk, that you get from the traditional rum, which is not good or bad, doesn't matter. But stuff from Paradise North, we had a lot of fun with those rums at the tasting, and they were a lot of fun. And which I guess we'll have to talk about that another time. But there were some people that just kept coming back repeatedly for those rums, and there was
Mike was like, just go buy the bottle, damn it.
I know. There were several people who said that they were going to go to the distillery, which I hope that they did. But there were two individuals in particular. There was one man and one tiny woman who he would come back and he would just go like that and point at the rum. And I don't know if Tom's still on or not, but huge fan of the spice. And the tiny little woman, she was absolutely adorable. And she was like ditching her husband and coming over to us for pours. And she'd come over there and she'd stand there and go, and she'd point to she'd had everything we had, but she kept coming back to the rums too.
I think she was only they were only supposed to have one or two, and she came back and had the run at the table. So
now we were only pouring a quarter ounce at a time, which is fine. But the Wisconsin rums were very surprising to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. The fact that it came from Wisconsin. We said, no, it's like 20 minutes from here. And they're open now if you want to go, and they're open tomorrow and you can go. We told them to go and told them to look up Tom and said, you should make sure you tell them that you picked that you tried it at the tasting. But those rums went pretty quick. Well, no, I take that back. It took a few hours for the crowd to show up, but once that crowd hit, those rums started. They were evaporating.
Well, we altered a little bit of the style of what we did instead of what we wanted to do. We altered what we were doing. So to be honest, people were more interested in doing almost a mini flight than a challenge. If they were in bourbons, what are all the bourbons you have? What are all the rums you have? What are all the ryes? So to appease the crowd, we kind of altered maybe a little bit of the plan. I think that worked out better with who was there and who expected a wedding, right?
Yeah, did not expect a wedding there, but yeah, and I think the surprise hit tasting was the rum. People realizing that whiskey was actually made in Wisconsin. I think there were a lot of people who were like, "This is from Wisconsin." Yeah, it is. And then the brandy, the Edelbrand, was surprising to people because they saw that it was clear, and they did not expect it to have flavor. And people were very, 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 very surprised by it and enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. And this is not taken away from anything else, but truly I think that the rum was the one that people just they kept coming back and more and more and more for the rum. Which was cool. And it's like, yeah, you can go buy it. Like, you can go buy it right now. Go buy it.
So, great story. But 2 minutes into it, Tom said, glad to hear that. They liked it. But, and then never followed up. So I'm very nervous suddenly.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully there's
hopefully no one went to the place and something different, or
let's have our Pee Wee Big Adventure moment. Let's talk about your big butt, Tom. Everybody's got a big butt.
So, might have accidentally made something I liked more.
Okay.
So Tom and y'all talking about rum was like, let's make a rum old fashioned.
Oh,
It's really good.
what rum did you use?
So I used Hamilton Florida Rum Society, which is a blend of 65% Guyanese,
Oh yeah.
Guyanese. I can't say that. And
Guyanese?
35, sure. And 35% Jamaican. So it's funky, but not all funk. And
Did you smoke it?
I did not. I put orange peel, a cherry, and then the Rizzo, which is that rosemary, grapefruit, and peppercorn bitters in here.
Ooh. Well, that may have
Ooh,
something to work into that rum. That's a whole nother flavor set.
Because it's not the sweetest rum, thanks to that pot still in there. But, oh, man. If you don't add any sugar, it's damn good, in my opinion.
It sounds exciting. I like the change. We'll have to try a couple different things.
I'm gonna try that. I do have to say, I still went back through mine even after adding the orange. As the recipes went, the Golden Beaver wins hands down. Adding the Crooked Water orange liqueur, it really amplified the Wisconsin Old Fashioned like a lot. So if you have this or have access to it and you make Wisconsin Old Fashions, throw this in there.
Drop or two.
It helped the standard Old Fashioned a lot. And
Well, I would
Heather's
expect that, yeah.
Heather's bottled Old Fashioned is really, really good, but it's also been picked up by a bunch of places. It's really stinking good. But that was good. I do want to try another Old Fashioned because, why not?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. I like it. But we have to look forward to next week too. Next week's exciting.
Oh yeah.
It's the Great Cookie Challenge. I was gonna say I'm excited about that because Mitch
I haven't made the art for that. I need to do that. I'm sorry.
Maybe I did, and I don't have my phone on me, so it's not loaded yet. If I did, so, but
it's not loaded, but you are.
I am. These are all 2-ounce drinks. The first two went down rather quickly. So
yeah, we got
the Great Pfeffernuss. Fine. I'm sorry. That's the main stage of this for me. Is you're talking up of the Pfeffernuss.
Dude, I mean, I'm only a little excited about the Pfeffernuss challenge because these are the two I brought down to the bar so I wouldn't eat them. And then my amazing girlfriend bought me 2 extra bags on top of the extra bags I bought myself because I knew I wouldn't be able to hold back. I've been eating a lot of Pfeffernuss without drinking.
Oh, I thought you were like preparing for this. No, this is like.
I've just been enjoying myself. I'm sorry.
Have you tried to freeze Pfeffernuss?
I have not.
I mean, I know the whole idea is to eat them. However, like Girl Scout cookies, back in the day, if you froze them, they would last longer. You can hang on to them longer, and they're not going to be there forever at Aldi. So freezing them might be an option.
So maybe.
So I just found out we have a bakery here in Louisville that makes them. Traditionally around this time, but I mean, if they make them, I'm sure if you just give them enough money, it is not winter time. They will still make them.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, I also, and I don't know if you guys did, but I did just because I got some marzipan ones. I saw them on there. The marzipan stolen bites.
You pretentious asshole. I'm sorry. What?
I'm going to wear an ascot when I eat them. You just wait.
So I bought
if I'm drinking Iron Root while doing it, I'll have my red head.
Are you going to talk about BTAC the whole time?
I could and how it tastes like marzipan in the background. I might. We'll see. I might channel someone. Sorry for the cookie eating.
So I bought everything that y'all bought because they sent me pictures of what they got, and not all of them survived.
Well, that's fine.
So,
I put them in a bag. I sealed the bag up, and then I'm not touching them.
Like I left them outside, but now that they're surrounding me now, I'm excited. And
Yeah,
I threw in a random one for me was the milk chocolate gingerbread hearts with apricot filling. I know Mitch, I think had a different one, but I was like,
yeah, I got the milk chocolate hearts with milk chocolate filling.
that sounds great. But this I was thinking might go good with a malt whiskey is where I'm thinking with this.
I've got two Aldis really close to me, and they're like,
It's a crap.
one is east, one is south, and the one south of me doesn't have nearly as many cookies as the one east. The one east is, and they're completely organized differently. The one east of me has, when you're going through the checkout lines to the left up against the wall, is like seasonal, and it is just flooded with Christmas cookies and stuff like that. I haven't even gone over there to check out the other stuff because I'm afraid I'll buy other things that I really don't need to have. But I did a couple weeks ago, I did do a Pfeffernusse run through of, now I'll try it with this. Hey, now I'll try it with this. Hey, now I'll try it with this one. Now we'll try it with this one. I'm kind of really wanting to try like old fashions and other cocktails like a hot toddy with the different cookies too. I don't think I could do that with the show, but I think because I'll just be doing like straight up spirits. But I bet there could be some pretty interesting combinations that you come up with.
Well, that's almost like picking the warm or winter drink and then going with what cookie might work best with it. That's almost like saying what goes with hot chocolate, like a spiked hot chocolate or something else.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
yeah. It did really well, Chris. So I don't think
that was a no brainer, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the cocktail in person and even my shitty attempt at it.
Very true. All right. Well, I got to do a little bit still, and I'm starting to have a perma-grid on. True.
I made half or smaller cocktails. So
cheaters!
All right,
cheaters.
Yeah, aside from the Golden Beaver, there's a lot of there's still some sugar in the Golden Beaver. There's a lot of sugar in these. So
that's the other bad thing about cocktails.
There's a decent sugar buzz going on too. So, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's still bedtime.
Yeah, it's going to be there. I don't want to go too far past it. So you don't want to stumble into the Malort hole. That's just the worst place to be.
So,
or the best place to be.
It could be.
Morgan and I went to her office Christmas party.
Don't tell me someone brought up Malort hole.
I did.
Oh,
it wasn't someone. It was Mitch.
Someone
did.
Someone whose name rhymed with
Mitch Weddle brought it up. And no one there had heard of Malort.
Oh.
And when you're trying to describe Malort to someone who's never heard of it, very difficult. You're just like, it's grapefruit, which sounds great, but then it's very bitter, like just pith and gasoline. And it's not good, and it's meant to be not good. But there are some people who like it, which is weird, but like it's not good. And they're like, and I'm like, so he's a Malort hole, and they're like, we don't get it. And I'm like,
You need to bring it with you now, Mitch. Just like the little 50 milliliters.
should.
You know what I was thinking? I would have, that whenever there's a party at someone's house, I try to show up with a bottle of liquor to hopefully make them like me a little bit. But I feel like if I had showed up with a bottle of Malort, they'd have been like, cool, you can't come back and you're fired. So,
Probably. Better chance.
Well, you could do the let's make a deal thing. It's like, what would pocket number A or pocket A or pocket B? Which one do you choose?
I will say, Bill got better distribution here, and I managed to find their cask strength, and it was on sale for
Ooh.
$35.
What?
For still Austin cast strength?
Yes.
Holy
So
hell.
I picked that shit up
Who
like
fucked up?
nobody's business.
Which one?
Damn.
Just their
Doesn't
cask.
matter.
Yeah. The musician?
Yes,
or
the
whatever?
musician. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
Yeah. So I bought 2 and dropped 1 off. And I was like, have you had much Texas whiskey? And he was like, no. And I was like, this is good. you should drink this.
yeah.
For
Have you heard of
amazing
Nancy
price.
Fraley?
Yeah, I try not to nerd out too badly.
No, but that
general
musician
public.
cast strength is
Mhm.
pretty darn
Especially
good.
at that price.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's a mistake. Good for you. So they can figure out they screwed up later.
Speaking of mistake, and I will. Now, Pat's had him. Mitch, that's the Wisconsin thing. Was on my quest for natural spirits
Oh,
while I was in Wisconsin.
douchebag.
Oh God, that man!
No, not Dave. Not Dave the owner.
Not Dave. Dave is a
This
beautiful
has
human
nothing to
being.
do with the brand itself.
Natural spirits is great. Dave is fantastic. Couple of stores in particular, not great. However, I went to one, struck out. The first one struck out. That was the one that had it the last time. That said they didn't have it, but actually did have it when we were there for Distill America. I went back to that one first, and guys like, I've never heard of it. So then he looks it up on the computer, and anyway, went through this whole thing. So I went to another of that chain of stores, walked in, and buried in with the bourbons was the two of the Wallersheim rye yeast experiments. Buried behind the bourbons. Not the third one, unfortunately, but 2 of them. It's like, so I dug through everything that had Wallersheim on it throughout that entire store, and I picked up those 2. So, I'm gonna share those off because I think everybody had the same experience with those. It was like, yes.
One of my favorite parts of Distill America is being at the Wallersheim booth and Kevin Rose being like, so where can you get this? The distillery? Are y'all open tomorrow? Yeah. No? Or I think he said like, yeah, or like late.
Yeah, they weren't going to be open till like noon, but he was like, what about 9 o'clock?
Yeah, and he was like, but will someone be there if I show up with money to buy these specifically at 9 o'clock? Like, no shopping, no talking, just I want these. And the guy was like, I mean, maybe, but no.
Yeah. And then he changed to yes, and then he was there.
Yeah, it was Matt. And he's like, yeah, I was there. You can stop.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, no, I was beyond tickled when I found those. So yeah. Yay, Wisconsin.
So excellent.
Let's hear it for mislabeling things.
Yeah, hey. Or just not knowing that you've ever had anything in the store you've sold cases of to me.
Okay. So I have to ask to sum up, because I probably forgot, of the original of the 3 recipes, favorite, Pat.
I'm gonna go the Golden Beaver, but I think when Mitch mentioned smoking the Wisconsin, I think that might.
Well,
I know. I'm just saying. Yes, the Golden Beaver one right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Mitch, what was yours?
So I'm going to say it this way. My favorite was just the traditional, but I recognized that the Golden Beaver was a better cocktail because it had like more layers and better flavors. It's just I specifically made the Old Fashioned like my go-to Old Fashioned.
Fair enough. I would 100% was the Golden Beaver was the favorite. Wisconsin, totally get it with mine, but I would, I think I think different brandy choices would be essential.
Yeah, I like that.
Nothing at all against Wallersheim. Absolutely love the stuff that they're making. but I think that there's a reason that's a Wisconsin old fashioned and not a Wallersheim old fashioned.
Although they're canned old fashions.
They're canned old fashions.
Oh, their canned old fashions are an entirely different animal altogether and freaking-tastic.
Yeah. They're coming back for next time I go to Wisconsin. Like I will.
Oh my God. The Wallersheim, if you're traveling, go buy the Wallersheim canned old fashioned. It says that it's
whiskey now as well too, not just brandy.
It says it's 3 to 4 old fashions per can. Bull.
I remember it being 2.
It's a slam can. Because
you're supposed to mix it with ice. You're not just supposed to.
Nah, put it in the fridge. It's awesome. you just kill it. When I first got it, my friend was like, "Oh my God, that's like $7 a can." It's like, but he'd had it, at Distill America, and he's like, "It's $7 a can." That's really good. And so we took them, with other people, and they were like, "Oh man, how much are those?" Like, "Well, it's like $7 a can." Oh, it's like, just try it. And they're like, "Oh my God." Yeah, I know their canned old fashioned is fantastic.
Yeah. I need to get some of them for summer because I feel like a cigar and that on the porch in the sun.
Or spring.
Any day where you're not having to wear a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
See that. All right. So I'm going to cheers to everyone out there because, hey, I have stuff I still got to get done tonight. Whiskey Traders is on. They got a show. You should go see them. Make sure you go see Kevin on Wednesday. Bourbon Turntable. Isn't David the same thing? Is he Wednesday too? Or
David does releases on Wednesdays. If you have Ghost is in full swing. Distiller's Talk has had some fun stuff. Oh, Christmas gifts. Distiller's Talk, go listen to it. They had a group on that does wines of craft whiskey. I cannot remember the name of them. Go look at the last Distiller's Talk. But not only have they been on Distiller's Talk, they have been recently on, if you watch Fred Minnick, Fred did a thing with them. Fred, Jeremy Sears, there's another big YouTubers and stuff. They've all talked about the same company. They do blind craft whiskey samples. They do quarterly. You can just do one-offs or you can do a whole quarterly thing, but craft whiskey. And I think you can still get their stuff in time for Christmas. So yeah, look that up because that was it's pretty cool. I'd be interested in doing that at some point. I've had enough old fashions for the night.
That's fair. Yeah. Me too. So check us next week when we're talking Christmas cookies. And you should be having your slew of them in front of you as well, too, because there's no better way to enjoy the season and the beginning of the Christmas week than that. So join us next week. And until then, remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey or old fashions. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.